Hello everyone and welcome to another Let's Play of The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. My name is Anna Mardal. I'm so sorry to have not updated in a long time. Work got really busy and then I was sick and then my voice decided to give out and I know that right now I sound like $1,000,000, but I did want to actually get an update in, so hopefully you can bear to listen to me while I'm still hoarse, and I'll try not to cough into the microphone. Um, Though we do a quick one today, I wanted to do the Dolores ending, and then eventually to do the Prince Nazagi walkthrough. Now, the Prince Nazagi walkthrough is another start over from the start and go through whole completely different chapters. So that one's going to take a little bit of time. But the Dolores one I've looked up is actually basically the Prince Calum walkthrough, which we've already done, but with some very minor changes in chapter 6. So I am going to go ahead and load up, if I can find it, our chapter 6 save file for Prince Calum, and we'll go through for Dolores. So this is chapter 6a, the Conclave. The last rays of the sun find me perched precariously upon a wall, inching my way from stone to stone. I ate only sparingly of my evening meal, so that the food would not weigh me down. A full belly can dull the reflexes as badly as hunger pangs. However, no prisoner making a desperate break for freedom would leave behind supplies. If the guards do feel the need to peer inside their trap, that should dissuade suspicion. So of course, I don't know if you remember, but Calum has brought us out of the dungeon and put us in a secluded room. So we're still technically a prisoner, but we're not, we're a prisoner being kept in more genteel surroundings. Calum came to us and asked us to climb out of our window and climb up to Cassidy's room so that we could have a big talk. And so this is why Madeline is saying, hopefully I'm not walking into a trap. Should anyone desire an excuse to have me executed, catching me breaking into the rooms of a member of the royal family would be an excellent choice. With Caleb's directions in mind, I find the proper window easily enough. So we've seen this before. Princess Cassidy is meeting up with Madeline for the first time since our imprisonment. It's so good to see that you're all right. It's a pleasure to see you again as well, Your Highness. There's no reason to be formal, not after the way my family's treated you. It's simply terrible. I can't imagine why they would ever do such a thing. They should have been grateful to you. But everything's all right now, isn't it? I told them to take care of you. So Madeline is trying to be diplomatic because, of course, everything's not all right. She's still a prisoner, and she's still, her honor is besmirched, and that's a kind of a big deal. In this setting, she can't just, quit and be like, you know what, screw this job. I'm taking my ball and going home. She doesn't have another means of supporting herself except through serving nobles, and once her honor is established as gone, she has no job anymore. She has no way of earning any kind of living. And this is supposed to be sort of emblematic of how sweet and innocent Cassidy is, that she doesn't quite understand, or I don't even know that she doesn't understand. She may just be putting the best face on what the small victory she was able to get. But there is a theme which I think is appropriate in an ending we're going for, where we're trying to run away with Dolores, the unhappy page, that these members of royalty keep treating Madeline and Dolores like a pawn, like an object, and then giving them rewards that aren't really rewards and don't make them happy, and then saying, "Oh, look how gracious we were." And it's like, no, that's not actually, no. You know, giving Madeline a nicer room than a dungeon doesn't make up for the fact that she's still a prisoner. And giving Dolores a nicer job than a scullery maid doesn't make up for the fact that they utterly ruined her life by using her as a fake royal baby in order to help Cassidy transition from Caspian. So, I don't know that it's deliberate here, but if so, it's a nice juxtaposition of a genuinely nice person. I'm not angry at Cassidy, and she really does have very limited options, but still looking at something that's a bad situation for Madeline and saying, I made this so much better. It's like, well, no, you kind of didn't. What's the matter? Is there something you need? As long as the story still stands that I betrayed my prince, I will be in trouble when we return to Osendower. Well, that's simple enough. Stay here longer. No, I do see your problem. I'll have to think about that. For my part, I would be happy to have your company here for any length of time. Yours and Oscar's both. So now we're... Gosh, I'm so sorry. My voice is just not working for me at all. Now we're trying to continue maneuvering Cassidy and Oscar into a relationship. Hold on, I have to cough. And Cassidy has concerns that Oscar may not want to see her, Oscar may be angry with her, and so Madeline is trying to assuage those concerns. And I'm not going to read through this because we read all through this with the Caleb ending, so. But it is, again, I think an interesting juxtaposition that, and I've seen people say that the Dolores ending isn't realistic because, or doesn't feel like Madeline because you end up kind of running away with her. But at the same time, you know, after abandoning all your duties, after all this talk about duty, but at the same time, you know, again, Madeline is having literally like probably the worst week of her life. She's been thrown into a dungeon, she's been disgraced, she's had her entire future taken away from her, and even when she's trying to fix it, she has to smile and play the part of the courtier and reassure this princess who is a very sweet girl, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's a little self-absorbed in a way that even in the center of all this, it's like, oh, I don't think Oscar would want to talk to me, he's probably mad, and Madeline has to be like, no, he could never be mad at such a sweet girl as you. And I mean, there's gotta be a part, we've all had to, you know, swallow our needs in order to comfort somebody with more power or privilege, even if it's sort of a silly thing or lesser than our real, very valid, pressing concerns. It's reasonable to me that at least in 1 AU of this timeline, Madeline would just be like, you know what? I'm opting out of this. So long, see ya. So sorry. Back to Caleb's room. While he spoke of being largely neglected by his parents, his rooms appear well appointed. And then the man himself. No difficulties then. Nothing I couldn't handle. Naturally. Dolores scoffs. So here is the option to snark at Dolores or defer to Cassidy. I think we already established in the Caleb playthrough that I did that there's not really a difference in dialogue, but it does matter for the Dolores ending, so we're not going to snark at Dolores. And I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly because, like I said, if you've been following the Caleb endings, you've just seen this. So, where Cassidy is explaining that she's forgiven Caleb, she's forgiven her parents, she's forgiven Dolores. So I'm going to skip through some of this and get to the next, what's the word? Option. And this is basically them trying to figure out who Dolores is and why the royal family is trying so hard to protect her. Which, in Chapter 7, we realize that the reason they're protecting her is because her mother had been a lady's maid to the queen, and when the queen needed a convenient infant in order to transition Caspian to Cassidy, the lady's maid, who was the queen's friend and Dolores' mother, died. So they used her baby, and then when they didn't need when they couldn't keep the baby anymore, because the whole point of using the baby was to then have Caspian die and then switch children, so they couldn't keep two Cassidys lying around. So when they didn't need Dolores anymore, according to the queen, she asked the king to make sure the baby was taken care of, and he threw the baby at an orphanage. So apparently that came out a few years later, and so she went to the orphanage and retrieved Dolores and made her into a page. But, you know, at that point she'd had an utterly rotten childhood. So basically, yeah. So, with that said, and that still hasn't come out. That comes out in Chapter 7, which, with Caleb, which I assume we won't get any of that backstory with Dolores' walkthrough, which is kind of sad because I feel like she deserves to know the truth. And, I mean, that's another really awful thing, in my opinion, that the royal family haven't told her, even a sand. I mean, obviously they can't tell her you were totally Cassidy for 5 minutes, but they could at least say stuff like, you know, I knew your mother. Your mother was a lady's maid for me. You know, she died and you were sent to the orphanage before we had a chance to, you know, I don't know, fix the mistake or something, so that Dolores at least knows why she's in this uncomfortable position she doesn't like as a page, which is usually goes to a noble, and it's caused her nothing but heartache and pain, and it's just, they haven't told her anything. Sorry, I'm really going off tangent today. With that said, the prince and princess slip away, leaving me alone with Dolores. She stares at me, waiting to see what I'll do. I don't know what to say. I believe that some of my anger at her may have been misplaced, but she's still more slippery than a snake. I wonder how well Caleb can sleep in bed, with her lurking nearby. Oh, I shouldn't think about Prince Caleb's bed. Bet you're wishing you were alone here with yonder gentleman, eh? You were quick enough to go at each other this afternoon. I did not. I saw the state of his trousers. I know what you were up to. Or did you show him the door? Chance he's tired of you then. Now that's below the belt. No one can be that rude by accident. I don't understand you. You're not a fool. Why are you trying to make me angry? To see if I can? It doesn't benefit you. I don't know what benefits me anymore. Nothing makes sense. I don't understand you, playing happy servant to people who screw you to a post if you cross them, sucking face with a killer. Caleb killed an assassin. If I had to take a life in order to save someone else, I hope I wouldn't hesitate. As for the rest, so our options here are I'm not interested in Caleb or it's none of your business. Um, so there's two endings for Dolores. There's a good ending and a bad ending. The bad ending, we say I'm not interested in Caleb. And the reason that's the bad ending is because you clearly sort of have been. Um, so the bad ending is making choices that makes Dolores feel like you're lying to her and she can't trust you, that you're kind of two-faced. So we're going to say it's none of your business, which obviously seems very rude, but I think it's kind of the binary version here of it's complicated, I can't possibly explain. It's not your business what happens between Caleb and me. Don't you have your own relationships to worry about? There must be someone in the palace who you find more interesting. Huh. If she's worked here for years, she must know most of the other staff. But, why did Cassidy say that you were lonely? Because she's a lot smarter than you are, Lady Nosy. Tell me, back in your stone heap, are you friends with the hallmaids and the scullions? We're friendly. Not what I asked. Are they your bosom companions? Do you trust them with your personal secrets? No, I don't have a lot of close friends. I don't see what that has to do with anything. So who's a close friend then? Oscar. Right, your prince. A noble like you. You'd never unburden yourself on a lower servant. They just wouldn't understand your lofty concerns. Not to mention that most of them would keep their distance if you tried. Never did no good for the common folks to get caught under the skirts of the mighty. As a page, you held the same rank as many noble children. They start as lower servants. For the nonce, ask any boot boy if he's equal to a page who will one day be a knight. They all know. And ask any lord's daughter if she's equal to a street cur who just happened to be named a page. So you're too high-ranking for the lower sword and too common for the others, and promoted to the service of a man who'd like to strangle me in my sleep. Tell me again how grateful I should be. I suppose you'd be happier with your own kind? What kind? There's no one in all the world like me. You could be King Pridrick's daughter, and Cassidy could be your friend, even if you won't call her a sister. Now that I'm high enough for her to notice, I think she'd be happy to have any friend at all. She'd led a lonely life. More fool her, then. What do you want, then? What would make you happy? To be my own mistress, live my own life, nobody telling me what to do, nobody expecting how I should behave. No one's life is free of expectations, not peasants and not kings, because people are fools. A proper life leads to a proper grave. All your roles and customs mean nothing when you're dead. Are you happy, lady slave? Do you enjoy being a pawn? So we're going to say I wish things were different. Sometimes I wish that the world could be different. But what's the point? We're all born with our places in society. We can't change them. So you are a slave. I think we've said enough. Oui. I'm not sure what to make of Dolores. In the short time I've known her, she's worn so many faces. I thought she was nothing at first. An ill-mannered page, a servant of no importance except perhaps as a provider of gossip, someone I could use. And when she proved more clever and resourceful than I had imagined at first glance, that only made her a better tool. I didn't question her aiding me in my search. I didn't consider that she might have motives of her own. Since then I've considered her a pawn, a traitor, a criminal, a mastermind, an agent, but no label can explain her. She says that there is no one in the world who is like her, but is that really true? Suddenly my attention is caught by a sound at the door. So Prince Caleb has come back, and Cassidy and he had gone to their parents to talk about the fact that an assassin existed. Because since Preacher and Paloma separated them and steamrolled them, nobody had a chance to explain that there had been an assassin on the loose. So, we had an option to kiss him or demur. If we were going for the bad ending with Dolores, we would kiss him. Because again, the bad ending is indicating to Dolores that you're not trustworthy, that you're two-faced, that you can talk about, I don't care about Caleb, but then you're kissing him, you know. So we're gonna demur. I step away from him. This isn't the time. Here. He hands me a folded bit of paper. Don't look at it now. I don't want to talk about it. Just go. This is the letter from Oscar, which I'm not going to read all over again. Basically, Oscar is very concerned about Madeline being involved with Caleb, which we don't really need to go through again because Caleb isn't, we're not going to get married with Caleb, but that's a different ending for a different time. I don't remember which option we picked here, and I don't think either of them matter for the Dolores ending. But I'm just gonna pick, you know, you never had me. You never had me. Oscar, you don't own me. You and I have always known that our time would come to an end. I was hired to be your childhood companion. You're not a child anymore. When you marry, whomever you marry, I will be gone. Even if we return to Osendower now, your parents might well cast me aside for the scandal hanging over my head. This whole disaster is Caleb's fault, not yours. Officially, the fault is mine. That's enough for me to lose the royal favor. You know I wouldn't let my parents turn you out. Don't you trust me at all? Of course I trust you, but politics and the sake of appearances. Sometimes things happen. I don't know if I would want a position in Gwalinor, but it will be my choice to make. You say I'm not a child, but you certainly treat me like one. Which is very frustrating to me because Madeline asserting her independence is not treating him like a child, and I understand that Oscar has maturity issues and attachment issues. I get that. I'm sympathetic to them, but her asserting an identity outside of him is not a betrayal or an insult. And I love this answer. I'm telling you how things are. What you do about it is your choice. You have a wonderful opportunity in front of you. Don't you see that? You and Cassidy. What about her? Please don't tell me. You've been so busy worrying about Caleb that you've completely neglected her. And so we've seen this part before. And again, I think it's an interesting juxtaposition that how to say, even with all of Madeline's problems right now, she's again having to divert the conversation to Oscar's future, Oscar's needs, Oscar's concerns, which are real, but they're kind of less than Madeline's. Madeline is staring down the barrel of potentially being thrown out, disowned, starving to death, not being able to make a living. Oscar is staring down the barrel of either he marries a beautiful princess and becomes king of a fantastic country, or he goes back home to his palace and tries again in a couple weeks with a different beautiful princess. It just again underscores that Dolores isn't wrong in the sense that Madeline is essentially expected to push down all of her concerns in favor of what are essentially kind of lesser concerns of the nobles. So here we have an option, but basically Caleb is proposing. And we can say yes or no. And as much as it breaks my heart, I'm going to say no because we're going for Dolores ending and I don't want to leave him hanging. I can't. It wouldn't be right. I see. Do you? A title I didn't earn would be just another lie, on top of all the lies that have been told here. Your parents rearranged the truth to suit their purposes. I don't want to be part of that. That brings us to the other matter, the investigation. What have you discovered? I think it's best if I wait until we're all together to discuss that. My sister is currently not allowed out of the sight of the guards, except with her own chambers. So we're gonna go climbing again. It was a hard choice, but I did what was right. After everything that's happened, I don't want to stay in Gualimar. I want to go home. But first, I have to get through the next few days, beginning with today's meeting. So we're gonna... Why wouldn't it be? Well, Caleb looked upset when he first came back. It's nothing. All right, come and see the others. So this is, again, more talking about the intrigue, the assassin and his friends. Oh, insult me as you like. These two deserve better. Despite my rejection, he still stands in my defense. The assassins had a friend who was a maid, and now we've just had Caleb and Cassidy disappear from the room to go work out the complicated and emotional issue of her past. So, Dolores, I don't want the freedom to move around this tomb. I want to be free. If your prince is prone to vomit at the sight of me, he'll want to get me gone, no? Caleb is not my prince, isn't he? Maybe I could make my life easier by playing their game, but for me, I cut that line already. I know what I want, and I'll do what it takes to get it, because nobody else will. Nobody else? You really have no one you can rely on, do you? No family, no true master, no friends, no lover, no one. So what? So, it's sad, it's a weakness, it makes me laugh. Apparently the top two options are good according to the walkthrough I'm following. This one isn't, big surprise. So, I will go with it's sad. It seems like a terribly sad way to live, that's all. I don't need your syrup. Everyone needs someone to care about them. Well, I haven't got it. Do you want to spend your whole life alone? Yes. No. But I'm doing it anyway, because there isn't anyone for me. Nobody is like me. Nobody thinks like I think. So there's no one who'd understand. How do you know until you try? Before I can say anything else, I hear a muffled shout from the nearby room. What's going on? Moments later, Cassidy charges back into the room. Don't need to. What difference does it make now? They already suspect. So this is Cassidy explaining that she was initially raised as Caspian. And again, I'm sorry to skip through all this, but my voice is killing me and we've already seen this part. So this is Chapter 7. No more Princess Cassidy. No hope of a royal wedding for Oscar. No compassionate heir to pardon me from my disgrace. But that's only the tip. What would happen to Cassidy if she were revealed as a fake? The mobs would tear her apart. So, here we'd had an option. If you want to go to Farad, then I will support you. I have to step down. It's the right thing to do. Caleb cuts me off with a gesture. You said before that you didn't want to be a part of my parents' lives. So this is what we will do. Ah, okay. So I kind of screwed up. Well, I didn't screw up. We'll get the ending either way. If we had said yes to Caleb in 6a about the titles, then there would have still been the option to tell Cassidy talk to your parents, which is the better option for Cassidy because she finds out that even though she doesn't remember, this had been her choice. Since we said no and justified it not as not wanting to be with Caleb, but as not wanting a title we didn't earn, then now Caleb's gone all idealistic and no, we will never trust my parents again. And so I kind of screwed that up, and I wish I hadn't, but we can't back up now. Cassidy and I will go to Farad's quarters and negotiate with him. It might be safer not to reveal the full details. No, I don't want to lie anymore. Besides, if he knows who I really am, then he'll know that I'm serious about my offer and that I can't change my mind. He'll have nothing to fear. That should make him more willing to assist us. We'll need him on our side in order to arrange for pasturage. As you wish. Although, since Duke Farad was revealed in the Oscar playthrough as being a good guy who cares about his family, and I'd like to believe a much better person than Friedrich and Paloma, I would like to believe, I hope the epilogue doesn't contradict me, I would like to believe that he's supportive of Cassidy and that this all works out in a good fashion manner. Because I know he doesn't actually have designs on the throne, doesn't want the throne. So maybe they will still go talk to her parents anyway. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope. Although having said that, this game kind of excels at making me frustrated with royal people, so I will try not to hope too hard. But he was a clerk before he was royal, so maybe he isn't a total dirtbag. Madeline, you stay here with her. If we have not returned or sent word within 2 hours, assume disaster and raise the alarm. Considering your reputation, it should not be difficult for you to attract attention. Oh my god, raise the alarm in a way that doesn't get me killed, Caleb, for having escaped my rooms? We'll need a sign to be sure that any message is genuine. Photo. I looked it up. It symbolizes regret. She looks down, then back up at me. Madeline, thank you for everything. A few final exchanges, and they are gone, leaving me alone with Dolores. Should have listened to me in the woods, huh? All of you. Should have run while you could and got away clean. This is going to be one scattered pile of a mess. There's no way it'll end without blood. Don't suppose you could see your way to letting me leave now. Actually, you could come too. We could be free from all of this. What, run off and live in the woods? We'd starve. No, not that. Do you remember that bag of gold I had Prince Ragbear bring to me? Rag? Oh, Caleb. He never gave it back. It's stashed in his rooms, and I know where. Think about it. When Princess Falsey flips her skirts, there'll be hell to pay. Who's going to take the blame? What do you think King Pisspot will do to the likes of you and me? So your answer is to just walk away? It's what I wanted all along. Out of here and never looking back. We could start a new life. You and me together. No more nobles. You'd say anything to get out of here, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Maybe the truth is, I've learned to respect you, Madeline. I do know your name. Oh, she's blushing. Oh my god. Yes, I ship it. We're not princesses, either of us. Didn't start with much. Used our minds, clawed our way out. We're not so different. You know the high tables, I know the back alleys. We could help each other. Don't you want to be free? You're not completely wrong. 2,000 gold ducators is a good sum, more than enough for a home of my own. Our own. Right. And you'd be happy with that, sharing your windfall with me. You're thinking about it. Admit it, you're tempted. I have responsibilities, duties, only as long as you let them tie you down. Oscar isn't tying me down, and Caleb... She says nothing, only looks at me and waits. Oscar, what future could there be for us now? If I returned with him to Osendower, I would be in disgrace. I might be dismissed from my role at once. Even if I were not, what would become of me after his marriage? What new employer would wish my services? The notoriety of this event would haunt me for years to come. It might blemish Oscar as well. It would be better for him if I simply disappeared. That way, none of the blame for Cassidy's defection could fall on his head. Wasn't that why I agreed to walk meekly into the dungeons in the first place? To protect him? And Caleb, I've already rejected him, haven't I? Any possibility of the position and marriage he'd hoped for ended the moment Cassidy chose to abdicate. The two of them will have to set out in search of a new life. They might welcome my company, but how is that different from the plan Dolores proposes? There would be more of us, and more danger besides. Caleb and Cassidy are known figures. They can't simply disappear. They will be targets for political movements in the years to come. I can't even begin to predict the risks and challenges they might face. It would be selfish of me to leave them to that fate, wouldn't it? Caleb and Cassidy need me. You don't owe them nothing. You're not even born here. Are you so eager to be a slave that you'll turn anyone you meet into your master? Choose for yourself. Will you come with me, or won't you? Oh my god, I'm crying. I see both of their points, and I don't think Madeline is wrong to want to help Caleb and Cassidy, but I don't think Dolores is wrong either. We've known them less than a week. I'll do it. Dolores is right. We can be our own masters. No one telling us what to do. No complicated rank to maintain. Freedom. What's your plan? You can't leave the room by the door. Cassidy's hall is always guarded, even if she's not here. I can't crawl the walls like you, but I'm free to walk out. So, you take the window and meet me in Ragbear's room. We'll get the gold, and set our next steps from there. Dress you in some of his clothes, and no one will notice. Blind as moles, most of them. All right. And so, for what I hope will be the last time, I find myself clinging to the stones of the palace walls. Somewhere inside, the royal bloodline is about to be shattered. We have to hurry. It occurs to me, now that it is too late to change my mind, that while I am out here, Dolores is on her own. She could choose to take all the gold for herself and flee, leaving me dangling. If that gold exists at all, this entire story could have been fabricated to distract me so that she could escape. I have offered her my trust. Will she uphold it? Will she be waiting for me on the other side of that window? The window is open, a promising sign. I slip through into Caleb's chambers. Footsteps approach. Oh, there you are. You're good with locks, right? Come on, it's in. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm glad to see you, that's all. You didn't think I'd show, did you? If I really didn't think that, it would have been pretty stupid of me to come here. You still look surprised. So did you. Well, I wasn't sure you'd really go along with. The first time you trust someone, there's always that chance. So what are we waiting for? We don't have all day. Show me that lock. Oh my god, I did not expect it, but they are perfect. I love them. With our purloined loot in hand, Dolores and I escaped the palace. We did not wait to see the aftermath of Cassie's revelations. We did not remain in Guelinor. We bought supplies where we could and traveled onward, ever onward, seeking a land of many opportunities and few questions. It's not entirely easy to create a new identity in a foreign land, even with ready gold available. Bandits were another concern. Alone, either one of us would likely have been swept away. My original desire had been to claim an estate and settle myself as a gentlewoman, but with our circumstances as they were, it was no longer a good choice. Families of quality are always known to one another, and too many questions would be raised. More importantly, Dolores would never have been comfortable in such a role. We had, after all, left in order to escape those social strictures. On the road, Dolores proved herself to be a good companion and a hard worker, never shirking her share of the burden. Her dream was to find a home in which we could be self-sufficient and need no others ever again. And so, a little further to the left, there, that one. You could come up here yourself. You're still a better climber than I am. You just enjoy being able to give orders. Not orders, suggestions. I'm crying. We became farmers. God, look how comfortable she looks. She's smiling. She's her hair is all loose and free, and Madeline looks so comfortable and happy, and there's butterflies. There is nothing easy about working your own land. There are always more chores to be done, more plants and animals to tend. The hours are long and the labor often dirty. But knowing that our food and our fortunes depend entirely upon our own labors, we have all the incentive we need. A gentle breeze scatters sunlight across our faces, and the butterflies take wing. Tonight there will be apple tarts with dinner, and after that we will sleep safe and secure in our own home. It is a good life. And it's a life where they could be honest about their feelings, about what they're thinking. There's not that constant need to push everything down for the sake of the noble of the hour who's having a panic of the day because his hair isn't styled properly, or not that that's necessarily a bad life, and not that, you know, Madeline would have been wrong to choose that, but I really like this ending. I'm so happy that they got out, and I choose to believe that Cassidy and Caleb are okay back in Guelinor. I realize that the narrative refuses to commit to that either way, but I choose to believe it. Freedom is what you make of it. That's our happy ending. And honestly, I did not expect to like this ending as much as I did, because I was curious how the whole let's just leave and abandon everybody. I was curious how that was gonna go, because I think it could have felt abrupt or handled poorly if it wasn't written well. But I like the way that was written. I do feel like Dolores made a good case for why this is a better alternative for her than anything the royals had to offer. And I think it was established well that this was a life Madeline could be happy with too. And I'm really, really glad that after a whole game of Madeline not really having any friends, she had Caleb, or sorry, she had Oscar, but Oscar was really more like a little brother, and definitely a charge, kind of a child. Not a friend she could confide in, even in the sense of if she'd ever talked about the frustrating parts of her job or anything, he would have taken it as an attack or a betrayal, or he would have been hurt or upset. She did not have a friend. In the Gaston walkthrough, her relationship with Colette was significant even before it turned into a romance, because she didn't have any sisters or friends or anybody. In the walkthrough with Dolores, she talked about she doesn't have friends. She's friendly with people, but she doesn't have friends. And replacing Oscar with a love interest with Caleb is not necessarily bad. I feel like Caleb would probably be a better friend and companion than Oscar is and was, because I think he can handle unpleasant truths a little bit better than Oscar can, but still, this just feels really real to me, that Madeline and Dolores owning a farm, working hard, not that they weren't already working really hard, and being happy, and Madeline not constantly worrying about what will I do for the rest of my life? Am I gonna have to take up the blade and be a mercenary? I don't want that. She has a future now. It's not all wrapped up and perfect forever, because she's gonna have to work hard, but they have a future. And God, that picture of them both looking so, I could look at that picture forever. So I should get like a desktop background of that or something. So that was the Dolores ending. If you want the bad Dolores ending just for the Steam collectibles, and there's like hearts after this that show which ones you have. It was the major differences were, instead of saying it's none of your business about Caleb, to say I'm not interested in Caleb, but then to kiss him, which saying you're not interested and then kissing him makes you look kind of two-faced. And then after that, I believe all the other choices before and after were the same. So you say, yes, we'll run off together, but then whenever you get to Caleb's rooms, I presume Dolores is not there. And I presume the footsteps were bad people coming to collect you. So that is the Dolores walkthrough with the happy good ending. This has been The Royal Trap by Hanako Games. There's little hearts. I plan to do the Nozagi one. I need my voice to come back, because it's gonna be a lot of talking. So and I apologize for sniffling my way through this one. Thank you so much for watching, listening. I will see you in the next Let's Play, and until then, have a wonderful time.